This is the Bulldog on Class X Radio, ready to deliver radio superbity. We're going to cover lots of news. We'll have a few rants. I got a phone call from good old Mitt Romney's campaign asking me to fly out there early this morning to give him some debate tips. And I said, I got a radio show to do. I cannot do that. Quote of the day. I'm going to begin with the quote of the day from Thomas Paine. Revolutions have for their object a change in the moral condition of governments. How profound is that? Today in history, 1789, George Washington proclaimed the first national day of Thanksgiving on November 26. And then in 1863, on the same day, Lincoln designated last Thursday in November as Thanksgiving Day. And I want everybody to know that on the way in, I was listening to a history book, an audio book, and it was covering early American history before the presidents, talking about the Constitution, Shays' Rebellion, so forth and so on. And it is really, really, really good. Shays' Rebellion, they wore a hemlock plant in their hat as a form of freedom. It was a symbol of freedom. So I think I'm going to make the hemlock plant, not the marijuana plant, as some members of Bulldog Nation want, as the plant of the Bulldog Nation. I mean, I just thought of this, Garrett. Don't we need, as a nation, we already got a dog is the animal, but do we not also need a plant? Do we not also need a tree? And all these different, the oak tree is going to be the tree because the oak tree is one of strength.
Absolutely. Every state has a plant, tree, whatever.
Right.
Color.
We need colors, everything. Black and red. Now, the federal income tax, this is a sad day in history. In 1913, the federal income tax was signed into law. And guess what the rate was? The rate was 1%. Wouldn't you love to pay 1% income tax, folks? I think you would love to pay 1% income tax. Now, we are going to simply play the tune, and you've got to name that show that premiered. This show premiered in 1955 on CBS TV, and it's named after an animal. Actually, there are two shows that got named after an animal. But this one we watched in Cincinnati, and here it is, right here. All right. What show tune is this? What premiered? Captain Kangaroo! This is the soundtrack for Captain Kangaroo, 1955. And we have another animal show that premiered today. All right, and this show premiered in 1955. Now, name this show that premiered based on the soundtrack. Oh, that was hard. I knew that was coming, folks. 1955, the Mickey Mouse Club premiered. And then in 1961, and this show was famous because they had to share beds in the bedroom. They didn't use one bed. Name this tune, or name this show, I mean. Yes, everybody recognizes that music. The Dick Van Dyke Show. And then, of course, in 1961, Mr. Ed also premiered. We'll do a mule. No, there's a horse. There's a horse. Horse is a horse is a horse, of course. Wilbur. That was the Bulldog, not an actual audio. 1974, the Watergate trial began. 1992, Sinead O'Connor ripped up a picture of Pope John Paul II on SNL. That really made me, man. I wanted to crawl through the television and beat her. And in 1995, on this day in history, let me see, that's 17 years ago, O.J. Simpson was found not guilty of the murder of Nicole Simpson and Ron Goldman. How do you like that? Not guilty. Famous birthdays. Tommy Lee is 50. Lindsey Buckingham of Fleetwood Mac fame, 63. Chubby Checker, 71. Come on, baby. We'll play the twist for you. 71. And Stevie Ray Vaughan, who I believe died in a helicopter crash, His birthday would have been today.
Yeah.
Today is also known as National Walk to School Day, Caramel Custard Day, Family Television Day, and Techies Day. October, we already mentioned, is National Breast Cancer Awareness. It's also Church Safety and Security Day, our month, Antidepressant Death Awareness Month, Domestic Violence Month, National Chili Month, National Caramel Month, Positive Attitude Month, Workplace Politics Awareness Month, and National Sarcastic Awareness Month. How you like all that stuff?
A lot of months, right?
It's a lot of months. Have you found any of the music yet?
Yes, got the first one on your list.
Are you kidding me?
How about that?
Bill love
Spry
it. Bill Spry is not letting me down. He told me that these were in, and Jake was just a lousy finder of the music. I'm just teasing you, Jake. Today, you know what we're going to play? We're going to play like some WSAI kind of rock, too. You know? WSAI used to be like the classic rock. They're good. These are still characterized as rock tunes, folks. That's all I'm telling you. Unfortunately, we lost 3 North Carolina soldiers in Afghanistan. Sad. Sergeant Jeremy Hardison of Maysville, Sergeant Donna Johnson of Rayford, and Thomas J. Butler of Wilmington were all killed, and their remains are being flown back. Sad day. Well, we're going to play a song for you, and we come back, we'll have more Radio Superbity. Of course, the big news is the debate tonight. And, of course, the big local news is everybody's hiring the Bulldog to be their lawyer. I love this song. This is Lobo, who wrote the greatest love song of all time, too. I'll explain that in a minute. Me and You and a Dog Named Boo on Class X Radio. This is the Bulldog on Class X Radio. I love that song. By the way, the greatest love song of all time. I might play it some. We're going to have like a love song day. We'll do it on a Friday maybe or a Monday. Lobo wrote the greatest love song of all time. All right, Denise, give us some traffic.
Well, there is a problem. That's why I wanted to let everybody know.
We have a problem. We got traffic with a problem.
Coleraine.
You shouldn't be that excited about it, but you know what? It's not anything serious. There is just a broken down car, but it's blocking the center lane, southbound 75, right at Mitchell. So both lanes are getting by, but that traffic is already backing up to close to the lateral. So it's going to take you a little extra time there. You're heading in that southbound direction. So heading into downtown, expect some delays there. I'll let you know when they clear that out of the way. But again, it's in the center lane, so everybody's kind of going around it. They do have some flares out there. It looks like the police are on the scene. Also an accident at Harrison and Harrison. So a little bit of a problem this morning.
All right. That greatest song of all time, love song, is I Want You to Want Me by Lobo.
Who? I Want You to Want Me?
I Want You to Want
Me. Okay, Cheap Trick. That's what I'm thinking of.
All right.
It was covered.
When we come back, more Radio Superbity on Class X Radio. This is the Bulldog on Class X Radio. We got a couple jack wagons to give out. Have you ever heard of Samuel Phipps?
Jack wagon?
Probably not. He was a Delaware man. It said he swerved to avoid an elephant in the road when he was arrested for his 7th DUI Friday night. Don't use the elephant in the road excuse if you get pulled over. The Obama campaign. It has been removed, but you got to ask yourself, what kind of a campaign does it in the first place? An image was posted on an Obama campaign website with a caption saying, "Vote like your lady parts depend on it because they kind of do." Incredible.
You jackwagon?
And if you've ever gone on to the Obama campaign website, they have this little story that they play called Julia. It's Julia, like the single woman that goes through life needing the government for everything. It's pretty ridiculous. Now, this is an interesting report from the Wall Street Journal, and I'd like to get the compatriots here comments about it. A new study shows that men with shaved heads are perceived my ass, we are, as more dominant and as having more leadership potential than others. Garrett, your comment.
That's from a man.
All right, forget about it.
No,
That's a guy that has too much hair. You're never going to be bald, Garrett.
I know.
Denise, your comment.
I don't know. Is my mic on over
It's
there?
on. It's on.
Well, You're trying to ask a guy that has no hair sitting there. So what do you think? I think there's something about a bald-headed man. Look, he's reading this comment, by the way.
All right, flip it over to Jake.
Do you think they're just perceived that way? I don't know.
No, they are.
I think they can be more intimidating. I think that's fair
Bruce
to say.
Bruce Willis, come on, man. Stone Cold Austin, Yul Brynner. I got crazy eyes, too. When I get mad, I'm a scary dude.
It helps. Yeah, if you had hair, yeah, you would be less intimidating.
I would be very much less intimidating.
Yeah.
This is an interesting stat, though. Do you know that bald men have a more difficult time getting elected to a public office?
Really?
Makes no sense. See, it's proven that we have more leadership skills, but the American people turn their backs on us when we run for office. They want people with hair.
That's right, Jesse Ventura. He's a
Yep. Creed single Scott Stapp says he can't vote for Obama anymore because he's too disappointed. Yeah, I love when people abandon Obama. Keep abandoning him, folks. Which 4 presidents had law degrees? William Howard Taft, University of Cincinnati Law, 1880. Richard Nixon, Duke Law School, 1936. Gerald Ford. By the way, this is a funny irony. Nixon, as a law student, actually broke into a building to steal some exams. Kind of a little sign of things to come. Ford, Yale Law School, 1941. And Bill Clinton, Yale Law School, 1973. Last night, I actually watched a PBS documentary of Bill Clinton from beginning to end, and I'm going to share my comments with that. Also today, besides getting you warmed up for the debate tonight, I'm going to explain how voter ID fraud is such a problem and how people can use the lack of a picture ID to perpetuate fraud. Do you know how you might know somebody's a redneck Jedi, Garrett?
how's that?
You hear this: Luke, I am your father and your uncle. You've said the phrase, "May the Force be with y'all." Your Jedi robe is camouflage. You've used your lightsaber to open up a bottle of Bud Light. You suggested they outfit the Millennium Falcon with a redwood deck. I didn't write that. William just submitted it to me. All right, all of our Indiana fans out there, we're going to play a song for you because you get neglected, okay? The Buckeyes and the Wildcats, dominate. This is Dean Taylor, Indiana Wants Me, which I didn't really figure out till after I heard this song a few times. This is about Indiana, not really wanting a guy. We're talking about the cops in Indiana wanting you. So you don't want to go back there. But don't listen to the words. Just enjoy the music on Class X Radio. Listen, the cops are calling for him. You're surrounded. Get out of here. Come back. Indiana wants him. Love that song. All right, Denise, give us an update on the traffic report to see if there's any cars have collided with any trees, deer, or other immovable objects.
Well, thank goodness.
Or elephants.
Nothing like that.
Yes.
Or elephants, and there's no elephants out there. Now, there might be a big old white elephant sitting in the middle of 75 and the center lane blocking that right around Mitchell. And really, that traffic is pretty backed up. All the way back to the lateral, it's going to cost you an extra 10 minutes. That is if you're jumping on in that direction. We'll see how long that takes to clear out. And still dealing with the accident at Harrison and Harrison. Things, it's getting to be that time in the morning, starting to pick up, but no other problems.
Garrett or Jake, thank you, Denise. Garrett, do you or Jake have a MySpace account? Because
No.
Negative.
Justin Timberlake is invested in this, and they've revamped it, and they're trying to get it going again, and I think it's going to be awful tough to reboot it.
I heard that it was big in for me, maybe freshman year of high school.
Yeah, it was grade school for me, yeah.
Which, it would have been
So MySpace is not an
02 or
adult
something.
site. Somebody told me when I
01
first
or
got
02.
in social media, they say, dog, you don't need a MySpace site. It's for kids.
Yeah, I think it'll be hard for them to make a comeback. Everybody when they hear MySpace, everybody thinks one thing. And that's maybe kind of the original social media thing, but it went out quick with Facebook.
Well, folks, it didn't take long for Nicki Minaj and Mariah Carey to get in a heated argument. They had to cancel the auditions yesterday with Nicki Minaj saying, I told him I'm not putting up with him hiding this over there. Off tape, she threatened to knock her out. Good God. Well, you know what? Choosing Mariah Carey wasn't the problem. Choosing Nicki Minaj is the problem. Jeez.
That's going to be a train wreck.
And who cares
Already
about
is.
this, but Khloe Kardashian and Mario Lopez are reportedly joining the X Factor as co-hosts. I just say, why? Boardwalk Empire, HBO's announced it's picked up the series for a 4th season. And Rolling Stone announced the Foo Fighters, somebody that Chuck Holbrook claims he used to hang out with and party with. David Grohl has confirmed the band is on hiatus. That means taking a break for members of Bulldog Nation that may not know what hiatus means. Ben Affleck on Mitt Romney. Romney just had some trouble coming off just as a kind of person you see at a grocery store. Well, let me tell you something, folks. I voted for George Bush Jr. the first time because he seemed like a guy you could have a beer with, and look what the hell how he turned out. I don't care anymore about that. I just want a guy that knows what he's doing. Scientology and the border. 70% of Americans doubt Scientology is a real religion. Sorry, Tom Cruise. I know you're down, about Katie and everything else, but nobody thinks your religion's a religion. 30% of Americans said they would look the other way if they saw a family coming across the border from Mexico illegally. I have to admit this. If I saw, women and children that look like, these are, desperate people, I would too. But if I saw some guys that look like drug dealers, I would say, stop! Citizens arrest! Citizens arrest! I'd go into my best Gomer Pyle. Citizens arrest! Citizens arrest!
We need to get that clip from.
We got to get that clip. You guys are in charge of the clips.
We'll get it.
Michelle Obama spoke yesterday at the Duke Energy Center. It's going to take a lot longer than 4 years to rebuild an economy for the brink of collapse. By the way, she had the nerve to say, what did Barack do? He didn't blame anybody. Oh, my God. I'm not kidding you, folks. I cannot stand to look at good old Michelle Obama. Can't do it. Wouldn't be prudent. Wouldn't be prudent. I saw a clip last night on the debate of Ross Perot, Bill Clinton, and George Bush in the debate. George Bush is looking at his watch. Is this over yet, man? Is this over yet? Of course, we had Bill Clinton or Al Gore in the debate with George W. Bush breathing in the phone going, as George was trying to answer questions. You know what? Al Gore is one weird dude.
Yeah, he is.
We already know that he likes, folks, let me tell you something. Remember, I get an hour massage every week. I have never asked for my stomach to be massaged. Al Gore, remember, in that massage scandal, had asked the massage therapist to massage his stomach. That is weird.
That's weird.
Really weird.
Didn't him and Tipper end up getting...
they got divorced.
He cheat on her?
Yeah, no, Tipper, it was amicable. Tipper is dating the former editor of National Geographic. He won her over by sharing her those pictures of those naked damn booties. And Al Gore's dating a big Democratic fundraiser. When we come back, more radio superbity and musical superbity on Class X Radio. And Sherrod Brown, because Sherrod Brown's a liberal. Josh Mandel still owes the state of Ohio tens of thousands of dollars after avoiding paying a single dollar of taxes on his campaign staff in 2010. Local actress Galadriel Steinman of Bellevue will appear on ABC's The Middle this season. Congratulations. We like to see local people do well. The police say the woman who was found naked lying outside her residence on the 21st Street in Covington on Monday died of medical, not suspicious causes. Yeah, it's medical, go out naked. So there's some local news for you. The biggest local news, of course, is Sarah Jones' case yesterday. Judge Summey issued her ruling, and she is not going to suppress the text messages, a decision which I vehemently disagree with. We have a wonderful appealable issue if we need it, but we're not going to need it. No one will ever convince me that if a judge commits perjury, in my opinion, in trying to defend his conduct, that is not a neutral, detached magistrate. He said, I do not know him. I do not know him. And in the ruling, Judge Summey seems to take the tact of, well, he's a busy parent, so he probably doesn't remember Cody as much as Cody would remember him, and yada, yada, yada. I'm telling you, defies logic. And thank God for the John Barry Supreme Court decision, or Sixth Circuit Court decision. I was disciplined once for speaking out about a judge, but now the Sixth Circuit out of Cincinnati has issued a ruling that a lawyer is allowed to be critical of a judge if it is based upon fact and his personal opinion. So based upon facts, which is the transcripts, and I think tomorrow I'm going to read the transcript of what Judge Easterling testified to and what Cody York testified to make my point. Pretty interesting. As the old saying goes, one of them's lying. And I have documentation to support the fact that Cody York is not the one lying. And the poo-poo like fixing tickets, he just got traffic school anyway. That's not really fixing a ticket. Well, I got to ask you this question, Kenton Countyans. How many of you have the personal cell phone of Judge Easterling and you're able to text him, call him, and go to his house when you get a traffic ticket? Anyone? Let's do a Ben Stein impression here. Anyone?
Bueller.
Anyone?
You're
I'm just a man. I'm almost like Rich Little. You all kind of like my the good old Rocky imitation. Adrian! Ain't going to be no rematch. Give us a traffic report, Denise.
You know what? That problem that we had on 75, everybody is just really backed up there as far as, is it on over there?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I know I'm not hearing
Talk
myself.
into it, Denise.
Well, maybe I need to be turned up. Maybe my that didn't sound very good. But anyway, southbound on 75. I didn't say on.
Get us all in trouble with their wives and girlfriends.
I said up, not on. Southbound 75. Oh, yeah, you've got 3 solid lanes of traffic, so everybody's kind of
not 1, not 2, but 3 solid lanes of traffic.
All 3 backed up. And that is north of the lateral, so heading all the way down past Mitchell because of that car broken down in the center lane. So you may as well add on about 20 minutes now because it's been sitting out there, and it doesn't look like it's going anywhere anytime soon. They did clear the other accident up at Harrison and Harrison. So at least that's a little bit better. Traffic's starting to pick up, but that's the biggest problem right now.
I picked up another case yesterday. Being arraigned this morning at 8:30 is Pharaoh Wilson. He is the man accused of shooting a Covington police officer in the foot. By the way, according to the initial reports that I got from the family, now I want to underscore this, okay? I'm wearing 2 hats here. I'm wearing the hat of lawyer, and I'm wearing the hat of talk show host, okay? And I just got to make this comment. You see those movies all the time where you see police shooting, and they're not hitting anything? Allegedly, the Covington police shot whoever this person was 40 times. Now, I got to just say this. If it was Pharaoh Wilson, he doesn't have a bullet nick. How do police shoot at somebody 40 times and miss?
Boy, they might be out of practice.
What is Covington doing for target practice? I think they need to get down to shooters down there on Short Richardson Road.
Shooting Pepsi
and bumping
cans
up a little bit. I mean, come on, 40 times.
40 times at one person.
That's what the family told me. And I went to see Pharaoh yesterday and spoke to him, and he didn't have any bullet holes in him. 40 times they said that they shot at him.
This is who? Covington PD?
Oh, here's something funny, too. He's also accused of doing something that they haven't charged him with doing. They've only charged him with the actions against the police. And it's going to be interesting. I'm talking in Greek here on purpose. If they don't charge, I'll tell you later, folks, what they're supposed to charge him with. And it's just funny, too. Sure enough, everybody knows I played flag football with a bunch of young black guys. Sure enough, he's cousins with half of them. I'm not kidding. The guys I played football, every time a new guy showed up, hey, cousin, how you doing? I'm like, geez, so Pete. They're cousins with every. I hate to see their family reunion. You got to have a lot of food and drink when they got together for a family reunion. Now, this next song we're going to dedicate to Maddie, who's going to remain a mystery woman. But it's a woman that Team Cameron would like to honor with this song. And we can only hope that, well, actually, Team Gabby doesn't have anybody on her team. There's nobody even wanted to be on Team Gabby. But in case there was, we could only hope that a member of Team Gabby would be listening so they could report back This is the way we roll on Class X Radio. But this song, by the way, before I get a lot of grief for playing it, this is a rock song. They had a bass. They had a guitar. They had a lead singer with posters all over the place. They had a hot keyboardist. They had a hot smoking mom in the lead of the band. I think she did the God, I'm having a brain infarction here. The tambourine. And they had an ugly little redhead kid that is still getting in trouble today. Yes, this is Partridge Family for Maddie, for Team Cameron. I Think I Love You. Maybe. Hell, I don't know. On Class X Radio.
I think I love you. I think I love you.
Class X Radio with the Bulldog. My wife had a David Cassidy poster growing up, she says. My goodness. The thoughts that must have been in her mind looking at David Cassidy when I wasn't around. When we come back, we'll get an update in traffic. The Reds, by the way, have now won 97 games. Garrett, is that not remarkable?
It's a great record.
97 games. They play the Cardinals at 8:15. Last night they beat the Cardinals 3-1. Scott Rowland hit a home run off Chris Carpenter, his former teammate. And Matt Latos pitched a great game. They need to win today or a Nationals loss to get home field advantage in the postseason. Come on, Nationals. Come on, Reds.
They need both.
That's
they
right.
Need both to happen.
They need both to have it happen. That's why I pay you to be my sports guy. And then when we come back, we're going to finish up sports and more radio superbity and more music to make you feel good on the best Wednesday program we're going to do all week on Class X Radio. Don't tell me I threw away my sports page. You get that out of the garbage can, the last page of paper I threw in there? I cannot believe I threw away my garbage. No, I got it back. Oh, my goodness. The Bengals. Are you ready for this, folks? Are the Bengals having a good year? Yes, they're 3-1. Sunday's game has still not sold out at home. The team has received an extension until Friday at 4 p.m. to sell out the game before it is blacked out on local TV, killing sports bars business. Garrett, is that not incredible?
It kind of is based on their start. 3-1. If they were 1-3, it wouldn't sell out. They'll sell that out when they get an extension. Almost 100% of the time,
somebody buys the tickets. L.A. Lakers. Dwight Howard participated in his first practice, having back surgery. Wide receiver Santonio Holmes of New York Jets has a foot injury that's going to keep him out for the rest of the season. And Jake Cameron Cole. Sorry, boys. I want to get a comment from Jake on this. The NHL says no progress in the talks. They're focusing on secondary issues. The NHL says it's already lost $100 million. As a hockey player and hockey fan, how sad are you?
Our statement is very sad. We're very sad about the
You're very
situation.
sad?
Yep.
Why don't you issue an official statement like
the official statement?
The official is Cole, Cameron, and Jake.
Jake is we're very sad.
Very sad. Very good.
But it was a bummer because in Columbus this year was the All-Star game as well as a skills competition. So if that doesn't happen,
that's a bummer. I know. Yeah. Have you gone to Columbus to watch games? I know.
Yeah, I've played
I know
there
Cameron
before.
has.
Yeah, played there and been to a few games.
All right. And by the way, your uncle Josh, I mentioned him yesterday, because he doesn't have sons. His daughter, one of his daughter plays hockey.
She's good.
She plays
awesome.
hockey.
Heidi's good.
This is so funny. I used to hang out with three guys: Josh, Mark Brannon, Bob Bigger, and me. Biggs isn't married. Mark Brannon gets married, 2 daughters. Josh gets married, 2 daughters. Only the Bulldog has a boy that got to play football and baseball. I mention that to them all the time. Red Sox manager Bobby Valentine ended up in a ditch next to the Central Park Reservoir yesterday after crashing his bicycle while reading a text message on the phone. He suffered scrapes, bruises to his knees and hips. He was reading a text that said, "You're fired."
Yeah, he's about to be.
He's about to be, isn't he?
That guy's a clown.
Yeah, Major League Baseball has reached the TV deal with Fox and Turner Sports. Will pay Major League Baseball around $800 million per year through 2021 to keep the World Series on Fox, as well as the All-Star Game. Sean Payton won't ask for special permission to attend Sunday's Saints-Chargers game to witness Drew Brees break Johnny Unitas' NFL record for consecutive games with a TD pass. Drees, should he get his 48th consecutive TD pass, could break the record. You know they're going to be going for that. In NASCAR, Ryan Newman, who races for the Stewart-Haas Racing Team, will be sponsored by Quicken Loans for 18 races next season, double the 9 races sponsoring the search. And by the way, I got one of the Christmas presents that I had got for Cameron, Jake, was an old-time hockey from the Hanson brothers. Old-time hockey! We got that clip somewhere, too. Did you get it in the computer?
Nice. Oh, did Jake make it the other day?
I did not make it, no.
Oh, my God. We got to get
We'll
old-time
find it.
hockey in there.
You mean the song,
Not the song where they just say in the locker room.
Oh, yeah.
Old-time hockey! And the owner goes, I don't give a damn about old-time hockey! Old-time hockey! Denise, give us some traffic report. Is it smooth out there, or is it like old-time hockey?
Well, it could be like old-time hockey. I don't know. I didn't play, but kind of looks that way on 75. They did say this is now an accident that's blocking the center lane right around Mitchell.
Oh, so we're like the Obama administration. The first report, the accident was being blamed on a video or a text, and now we know it is a full-blown accident caused by a negligent driver.
Not just a car sitting in the middle of the road. Right.
All right,
So
we get all the facts before we tell you the facts.
Is that what it is? Okay, well.
Continue with your report.
It's pretty much about
Don't get smart alecky on me.
A 30-minute delay for you out there. If you're heading in that southbound direction, you are backed up
That
almost
sucks.
all the way back to
40-minute
Ronald
delay.
Reagan. So, yeah, all the way down to 75 right at Mitchell. So, again, that center lane is blocked. You know, I just report what I'm reading off of 3 different sites, and they all had it down as a
So you're saying that we
car.
could have a chimpanzee in here that knows how to read to do
Well,
what
only
you
because
do.
our chopper's down. Our chopper's in the shop.
Yes.
That's it. Well, that's because
the
elephant,
backup
it was too
chopper
heavy
and the
for
main
that.
chopper both are in the shop.
Both in the
Okay.
shop.
Well, you know, and something else I came
Ladies and
across.
gentlemen, the American jury, yes, our traffic reporter just admitted she just reads this stuff. Go ahead.
Well, what do you think an anchor on the news? What do you do over there? You just read what we hand you?
Them are
on.
fighting words. Turn off our microphone. You got anything else on traffic?
Well, you know, if you want to talk about, you know, how you were talking about the police officer or the police shooting 40 times at someone. Last night, and I don't know, you know, but this is local news, where there was a man that was shot and killed, 38-year-old man. He was shot and killed Tuesday night around 11 p.m. That was at Walnut Hills.
What does that have to do with
Lincoln and
traffic?
Gilbert. Wait a minute.
They shot him and then he stumbled out in the middle of the street
What?
and died. And
Exactly.
slowed
You're
down
supposed to do
traffic?
traffic. You just reported a shooting.
Yeah.
Did the shooting involve road rage?
But you never know. They don't know what's going on. Maybe they need to find that out. But
Ladies and
that
gentlemen,
goes along, hey, there's
I'm
your
going to guess the
local
victim
news.
and assailant
You missed
didn't have
it.
cars.
You missed it. I gave it to you.
I want to apologize that our traffic reporter is out of control.
I'm nowhere out of control yet.
Alleged homicide in New York City, or actually this was in Michigan. Soil samples tested at home in Roseville, Michigan, for the human remains have turned up negative. Former Teamsters president Jimmy Hoffa was alleged to be buried at the site in 1975 by an unidentified source. They have tested so many sites for Jimmy Hoffa that they know what his remains are supposed to smell like or look like. They dig it up, look at the soil. Nah, no Jimmy here. What the hell?
Who's paying for all that anyway?
I don't know.
I mean, seriously.
The Jimmy Hoffa, find Jimmy Hoffa
I was gonna
soon
say,
site.
I'm sure there's enough curious
It's a private
people that-
foundation. Find Jimmy Hoffa Foundation. Donald Trump apparently contributes to it. I don't know. The Weather Channel says it's going to begin. This is incredible. It's going to begin naming winter storms this winter. What do you think about that? They're going to begin naming winter storms. Good golly.
I heard they're going to name the biggest one the Bulldog.
Yeah, darn right they will. The Bulldog is coming. Giant Food has announced a recall of ready-to-eat bags of Dale & Thomas Indiana white cheddar popcorn due to a potential contamination by listeria. The recalled products were sold in 9-ounce bags. Just looking out for you, folks. 30-year-old Nicholas Livy was shot and killed Tuesday morning at the Bryan Terry Border Patrol Station south of Tucson. Another agent was also shot as they were on horseback checking a border alarm that went off. Another agent goes down. The government is preparing for possible orders from the president to launch drone strikes and or special operation raids to capture the terrorists who attacked the U.S. consulate in Libya. Yeah, right. When you got to, is it always drone, drone, drone? I saw, for example, on the, the Oklahoma City terrorist attack, where they went all over McVeigh. Now, of course, it was a domestic attack. We were close to home. But we have always had rapid, serious, strong response. But not this president. The White House press secretary declined to comment on claims by the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee chairman that requests before the 9/11-12 terrorist attack in Libya for extra security were denied by Washington. They're not commenting on it. How great is it going to be, folks, for Romney when it turns out that there was a request for additional security and they turned it down? Those poor people that we lost. Daily Beast reports during the 5 months before the attack on 9/11, the continent was bombed twice. And there were specific threats made against Ambassador Stevens on Facebook. All right, we now are going to play for your listening pleasure a great song. This is the theme song of that show back in the late 80s, early 90s, China Beach, where I fell in love with Dana Delaney, who actually did Full Frontal in a later movie. I could not believe it. And, of course, she also was on the Housewives of Wisteria Lane, Desperate Housewives. This is, and those of you that think I'm racist, this is Diana Ross, a black woman in Reflections on Class X Radio. It's the Bulldog on Class X Radio. Dusty Baker has announced in the playoffs, Cueto's going to be number 1, Bronson number 2, Latos number 3. I got a question. Why wouldn't you pitch Homer Bailey away? He hasn't lost at a single game away. But he's not. But those are the 3 top pitchers.
And I think, normally Latos is the number 2, but they'll throw Bronson in there because he's kind of got that slower fastball to kind of throw teams off a little bit. Instead of throwing 2 guys that throw really hard back-to-back, they'll throw Cueto that throws hard, Bronson, who's more of a finesse guy, and then Latos hard again.
Do you throw hard, or are you a finesse guy?
Finesse. All finesse.
I like to mix it up.
Denise, I don't throw a baseball, so I don't know.
Are you finesse
like
or are you hard?
I'll go with finesse. I'm not going to say hard.
Say hard.
Brag on me for that.
The Justice Department electronic monitoring, the ACLU, says orders to track phone calls, email, and other forms of communications jumped 60% from 2009 to 2011 to 37,616 requests. How do you like those peaches? Homeland Security effort has failed while blowing American money. An effort to share intelligence between local federal authorities about terror threats launched in 2003 hasn't been able to produce information on one threat. The so-called Fusion Centers program is a price tag of $289 million to $1.4 million. Isn't that special? U.S. and the Taliban coalition officials say hopes for a peace deal with Taliban has been all written off. Peace deal with Taliban. That's impossible. Peace, Taliban. I think we call that an oxymoron. American Airlines seat issue. The airline says faulty clamps are responsible for seats coming loose in a flight over the weekend. The clamps were used on 47 of the airline's 102,757 aircraft. It's bad when they got a clamp that comes loose in flight. The Justice Department is paying $165 million for a jail in Illinois that had previously been eyed to replace the prison in Guantanamo Bay. In 1991, according to the New York Times, 22.3% of high school students over 16 had drank alcohol and drove within 30 days of a study. That makes no sense. The number has fallen to 10.3% as of 2011. Don't drink and drive.
Drank alcohol and then drove within 30 days?
Period. The 2 week-long conferences in 2011 were held at the Orlando Marriott World Center Golf and Spa Resort. 1,800 human resources employees were treated to pedometers, water bottles, a $50,000 George Patton impersonation video, exercise bands, among other wasteful items. Way to go, government, some more. Good God. They don't learn, do they? Watching the GSA, they just do not learn. The VA has failed to pay wages for work-study employees at 18 campuses, in some cases delivering payment 4 months late. Michael Nash of Louisville is suing the Veterans Administration for $10 million, claiming his appendage That's right. We can say penis on the air. Had to be partially amputated after a VA nurse repeatedly placed ice packs on it after surgery, causing frostbite and gangrene. Just $10 million? I would say $1 billion for a gangrene willy whacker caused by a nurse committing malpractice. I could look at a jury with a straight face and ask for $1 billion for a gangrene willy whacker. Garrett, wouldn't you want $1 billion?
Absolutely.
You could ask for it. That doesn't mean you'll get it. What is the price?
If you were on a jury,
No.
would you get? How much would you give for a guy that lost his willy whacker due to negligence of a nurse?
Well, you know what?
$10 million. They're
Worth a
asking
lot.
for $10 million.
That
Would
be
you
worth
give
a
$10
lot.
million?
No, I would give $10 million. I mean,
Okay.
are they ever going to get it though?
Heck yeah. Jake, would you give $10 million for a lost willy whacker?
Well, don't they have in insurance companies? Don't they have set rates for?
See,
body
a woman
parts?
doesn't need her stuff as much as we do because
What?
us guys know that you all can live without the use, where we can't.
I don't know. I've come across a few.
Few. Let's underline the word few.
Okay.
Former Penn State graduate assistant Mike McQuarrie has filed a $4 million whistleblower lawsuit against the university alleging defamation and misrepresentation during the Sandusky scandal. Yeah, this is the guy who sees his coach naked with a little kid and just, hey, what's going on in there? Mike McQuarrie. I would give him nothing. Garrett, you.
Oh, not at all. They're all at fault.
Yesterday in Pennsylvania, Judge Robert Simpson said voters without a government ID will be allowed to vote in the upcoming election. I'm going to discuss this later in our program. The L.A. City Council has voted to repeal a ban on dispensaries of medical marijuana put into effect in July, which means medical marijuana is back. Yeah, baby. Chief Ralph Godby of Detroit has been suspended by Mayor Dave Bing. He played in the NBA. After accusations surfaced that Godby was having an extramarital affair with the mayor's wife. With a subordinate who wanted to end the relationship when he didn't. You know what? If they say it's over, it's got to be over. And what you do is you move on, you find a Maddie, and you do just fine. Maddie.
Your son's just got him kind of lined up, right, then?
Stepson, he's already over Gabby. Cameron has moved on, and he's happy. Gabby's lost.
It's all it counts.
A former manager at Boca Raton Starbucks filed a lawsuit against the coffee giant, claiming he was fired from his position after revealing he is HIV positive. Now, I'm going to just go ahead because you know the Bulldog. We hit issues head on. My daughter went up to Milwaukee in the summer and worked in an inner city program of HIV discrimination, did needles exchanges. I found out what that was and everything else, and it kind of made me nervous. Now, I got to ask you this. Straight up, Garrett, you know somebody is HIV positive. Do you shake their hand?
Yeah, I would.
Jake?
Yeah, I would.
Man, I'm admitting it. It'd make me nervous.
Okay, you know what happened to Magic Johnson? When they first found out, there was he got cut in a game, and everyone in the entire arena had just found out that, it was all over the news that Magic was HIV positive. They're in this arena playing a game. Magic gets a cut over his eye or something like that. Blood's coming out, okay? Who was it? David Robinson used to play for the Spurs, said he lost all respect for Magic Johnson or whatever, came out, put him on blast. Well, the doctor that had to stitch him up was thinking, I would never use gloves in a situation like this, and if I put gloves on right now, everybody's going to think that I'm doing it because they'll think that I can just get infected by touching the blood, which you can't. It has to get into your bloodstream. So there's no way to get infected unless it's in your bloodstream. So the doctor stitched up Magic Johnson without gloves on in front of the entire arena, and everybody was kind of just in shock because at that time awareness was so low about AIDS and HIV. Nobody knew anything about it.
Yeah, I would shake their hand, but I would be nervous, man.
Not me.
I would think, I don't know, I would think, especially with your daughter going and dealing with something like that, that would make anybody nervous. I think people would be a little bit more afraid in different situations, but shaking hands, I don't know.
Samsung says Apple violated 6 feature patents and 2 standard patents from the new iPhone 5. How about that? Samsung is not going to take it lying down. Then finally, in legal news, the Florida Supreme Court versus the state GOP. The GOP is calling for voters to oust 3 justices, giving the legislature more power over choosing justices. We'll see about that. Now for your listening pleasure. Everybody knows that George Harrison, What Is Life, is my all-time favorite song. Well, guess what? This is my second favorite George Harrison song. And no, it is not The Crying Guitar. My guitar gently sweeps. It is Not For You. I love this. I'll dedicate this to my wife, If Not For You, on Class X Radio. This is the Bulldog on Class X Radio. Let's promote the radio station. You can listen to Class X Radio and yours truly on 88.9 and 89.1 every Monday through Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Also, TuneIn Radio, also Class X Radio app, and ClassXRadio.com. And on your computer or your phone, live simulcast, videocast on the BulldogsNation.com and ClassXRadio.com. And, of course, when I'm not on talking and playing great rock music, all the other times you can tune in to great rock music right here on Class X Radio. You can text me at eric@ericdeters.com, or email me, eric@ericdeters.com, or text me at 859-250-2527. And beginning tomorrow, we're going to have a phone line for you to call, folks. 513-201-8891. 513-201-8891. We'll be able to start taking calls tomorrow if you have something witty or wise to say. Remember, if it's plain and stupid, we don't want you to call. This is the Bulldog on Class X Radio. This is the Bulldog on Class X Radio. On my comment, you know what? Honesty sometimes gets you in trouble, but I'm not going to, the Bulldog doesn't back down. The reality is that I have employed at Bulldogs, I had gay waiters, cooks, chefs, manager. I represent clients. I got some clients who have been discriminated against because they were gay. I'm not anti-gay. I'm just being honest that call me old school, call me misguided or ill-informed.
For the handshake comment you're talking about still?
Yeah, I mean, if I knew somebody was HIV, I'd be nervous.
But that doesn't necessarily mean they're gay.
No, that's true, too.
I mean, Elton John said that
very good point.
In an interview a few weeks ago, Elton John said that he is unbelievably lucky to even be alive because he slept with, and now he is gay, obviously, but he slept with so many people in the 80s during that whole epidemic where nobody was really aware of it, that he had so many friends that died because of it.
Yeah.
It's like shaking somebody's hand with a nub.
Somebody asked me the other day what radio superbity is. And I just wanted to read the definition from Webster's because, somebody asked. Radio superbity as defined by Webster's dictionary. A radio broadcast that is so good that you, the listener, are mesmerized to the point of ecstasy while hearing the words of the talk show host and music played by same. That's the Webster's dictionary of radio superbity. Moving on to our most important topic of the day, politics. Ladies and gentlemen of the American jury, I know a little bit about politics. I'm going to give you my political resume. I grew up paying attention to what was going on. At 19, I started reading newspapers, watching Nightline every night, which was the only really news, late-night news. This was before cable. And I got involved in local elections, then started paying attention to national elections. I was the Kenton County Republican chairman at the age of 24. I was George Bush's Northern Kentucky chairman, actually, in 88. I started running campaigns in 89, 90, won my first 2, was asked by Congressman Bunning to be the 4th congressional chairman, served on the state central committee, ran governor campaigns, lieutenant governor campaigns, and I pay attention to politics. I know a little bit about politics and voter registration and voter ID. Now, going across this country is a battle about whether or not you should have to show a photo ID of some kind. So when the poll worker looks at the registered voter list and looks at you, they know who you are. It troubles me and is beyond common sense comprehension while any organized group would oppose requiring someone to show up with a photo ID of some kind, college ID, driver's license, whatever. And you can get an ID that's not a driver's license, a photo ID. You can get them. You can get a passport. You can get all kinds of IDs. Now, the judge in Pennsylvania apparently is going to require next election that you are going to have a photo ID. He was concerned that people weren't going to have time to do it this time around. Now, what does it tell you that the Democrats as a party oppose this and the Republicans want it? Now, I will tell you why. If you look at Acorn in 2008 and what they did, and you had a concern about dead people voting, and we all know the joke about Chicago. I mean, Chicago is the hotbed of voter fraud, political fraud, and of course that's where Barack Obama hails from, as did Hillary Clinton. But here is the pragmatic issue. Now, I'm going to use myself as an example because I see this firsthand when I vote, but this is the same every place else in the country. I go in to my precinct to vote. Now, they know who I am, so it's not an issue. But let's say I go in there to vote, and they don't know who I am, and they say, "What's your name?" And I say, "Eric Deters." Well, what they do is they go down and they find my name on the voter registration list. They ask me for my photo ID. They confirm that, that's that guy that's standing in front of me. That's got to be Eric Deters. It's on his driver's license. You go ahead and vote. Seems logical, seems rational, seems right to avoid voter fraud. For the Democrats to cry foul in this whole issue and claim that this is a suppression of vote and how sacred the right to vote is, yada, 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 is incredulous. Now, no one in the national news media, once again, I'm going to pat myself on the back because Bill O'Reilly, Sean Hannity, Glenn Beck, nobody explains how the voter fraud would work if you do not have voter ID. Here's how it would work. When you go vote, like in Kentucky, and I give them my photo ID, I then sign the log next to my name showing that I voted. Okay? You may not realize this, but the parties know this. Do you know that you can find out who voted, when they voted, how often they voted? Did they vote in the primary election, the general election? They haven't voted for 3 years, 4 years, whatever, and they're still registered to vote. Now, here is where widespread fraud can happen, and it ought to scare the hell out of you, Ohio Republicans. So listen to me. If I am wanting to, and it cannot be party sponsored. They can just get supporters to sponsor this. Just think about this. If I go to Hamilton County, let's focus on Hamilton County, and I get the voter registration logs for Hamilton County, and there's no photo ID that's required, and I go down looking at that voter registration, and I recognize out of everybody who's read, and I'm just going to make this number up, I recognize the people that voted in Hamilton County that haven't voted for the last 4 elections. And let's say there's 1,000 of them. And again, I'm just making this up to make the point. 1,000 or 5,000. Pretty big numbers. It's going to be a pretty big number, people that are registered to vote haven't voted. Now, here's what you could do. You could send in 2 voting booths people representing to the polling worker that you're them. Hi, I'm Bill Johnson. And how are you going to get away with it? Here's how you're going to get away with it. When you sign or they say, okay, that's Bill Johnson and he's going to vote. The odds are, and you know this when you play Bill Johnson, that Bill Johnson isn't going to vote. He hasn't been voting. For whatever reason, he's not going to vote. So the likelihood of getting busted is low unless Bill Johnson walks in there and says, wait a minute. Somebody else just came in here and said they were Bill Johnson, and you pull out your driver's license. No, I'm Bill Johnson. That wasn't Bill Johnson. So the way you do it is people that vote frequently, nobody's going to impersonate them. But people who are registered to vote and have not voted forever can be impersonated without a photo ID, real easy, massive voter fraud, undetected. Elections change the course of history. Has anybody explained that? No. Why? Because they're jackwagons. You can only get it on the Bulldog. So, we go from that to your listening pleasure. And I know you're all going to love this song. This is a classic. And I was tempted to use the Joan Jett version, but instead, since we're Class X radio, I decided to use the Tommy James version. This is Crimson and Clover, and I don't want to hear loud uhs during this song on Class X radio.
I don't hardly know her.
Class X.
Hey, Bulldog.
This is the Bulldog on Class X radio.
Hey, Bulldog.
I have to go on a little mini rant and call for a boycott. And I promised not to, how should I say this? I promised not to mention their name on the air or in public ever again. But I have to in context of this. Do you all realize, ladies and gentlemen of the American jury, how absolutely lousy the Enquirer newspaper is? How they don't have staff to report news, that those people that have to report the news are absolutely incompetent. It is incredible. And I'm not just going to throw these big phrases out there in comments without backing it up, okay? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to back it up. And I think this is important. As they shift toward their new look newspaper, their new look website, as even with the Kentucky Post going out of business, the Kentucky Enquirer can't stay in business being the only newspaper in town. And some of the things I'm about ready to tell you is the reason why they can't. First off, we filed a complaint with the New York Daily News when they printed this. Investigators say Jones had sex with the boy, then 17, 4 or 5 times between October 1 and December 31st, 2011. Okay? The New York Daily Times never apologized, but they didn't respond to us. But when we confronted Sarah Farmer, the prosecutor, about this, the prosecutor sent a message complaining to the New York Daily Times because they didn't say it. And the New York Daily Times had to admit they cut and paste that from an article about Nicole Howe that had appeared in the newspaper. Now, that wasn't true either, but how do you like that? The New York Daily News takes a part of a Nicole Howe story and makes it part of their story. It gets better. Jim Hanna then writes a story about the Sarah Jones trial in the Enquirer, and guess what? He does the same damn thing. I write a letter. I sent him a text message about it. He doesn't respond. Jim Hanna not only doesn't respond, there's no apology. Now get this. I can't sue the Enquirer. Why? Because as a result of this case, Sarah Jones is now a public figure. So therefore, you have to prove malice. You have to prove malice. Well, it's not malice. It's just lousy journalism. The Kentucky Enquirer, the Cincinnati Enquirer, does not have the dignity, does not have the class to apologize. Okay? So now, this morning's newspaper, sex case text stay in, written by Terry DeMio. And I'm just going to go ahead and say this to you, Terry. When you were at the suppression hearing, both me and the prosecutor thought you were stoned. And I'm not making that up. You obviously were stoned or under the influence of some drug, or narcotic, but you were clearly not mentally with it, covering for our daily newspaper the Sarah Jones case, sending us a quote-unquote stoned, in my opinion, reporter. So she does the exact same thing in this morning's newspaper. Ladies and gentlemen of the American jury, Sarah Jones was slandered by thedirty.com for having gonorrhea and syphilis, which she did not have. Happened 2 years before this quote-unquote scandal. She had to go through a divorce from a guy who she stayed loyal to despite cheating on her over 50 times during the course of the relationship because she couldn't help that she loved him. And who blackmailed her into marrying him, or else he would make up lies. The marriage lasted about a week or two. She lost her profession as a result of rumors started by two girls, one of which was kicked off the cheerleading team for a rule violation and is the ex-girlfriend of Cody York. It is incredible. Loses her job, faces a felony prosecution, and once again is slandered and libeled in a newspaper, and she can't sue because the law is protecting the Enquirer because it wasn't done with malice. They just are incompetent. Can you imagine if you picked up the newspaper and they said you had sex with a minor boy 4 or 5 times between October 1 and December 31, 2011, when even the prosecutor complained and admitted it wasn't true, and the prosecutors did not say that? And guess what? Judge Summey cautions us about talking about this case as the trial draws near. And in this article, Sarah Farmer says, well, I don't want to talk about it since the trial goes in. Well, I'm going to talk about the Enquirer's incompetency in trying to taint a jury pool when it has now been reported 2 times, even after I warned them. Maybe we are getting to the point of malice. Maybe we are. The public trust of a daily newspaper is important. The integrity and the honor of journalism is important, is it not? This isn't talk radio where we have a little bit of fun, right? This is a serious newspaper. The only daily in the tri-state. And they are incompetent, and they send to cover important hearings reporters that are a little messed up. It gets even better, folks. The trial that I had last week, Jim Hanna, who is so scared I'm going to sue his scrawny little ass, doesn't call me for comment. So it's clear to me the Enquirer is now intimidated and scared of the Bulldog. Jim Hanna obviously doesn't want to touch me. And by the way, Jim Hanna, you know your little secret that I know about, that I confronted with you in anger one day. Maybe it's time for some public revelation about you, Jim Hanna. What do you think of that, Hannah? What do you think about that, Margaret Buchanan? What do you think about that, Miss Washburn? What do you think about that? Terry, I show up not mentally right to cover important court hearings, DeMio. Everything I said is fact, Jack. And I'm pissed off. And I would like to thank Bill Spry, the good old rebel himself, for giving me a microphone to raise a little hell about it. I'm not done, folks. You got that next song? How do you do, Jim Hanna? Mouth and McNeil on Class X Radio. This is the Bulldog howling at the unethical, Incompetent Inquirer. Actually, you know what? John Kieswetter seems to get things right when he reports on entertainment news. How about a traffic report, Denise Johnson, since you didn't get one last time?
Yeah. Somebody got carried away there with the microphone, but that's okay. Accident eastbound 275 at Reed Hartman, and that's got traffic slow. That is between 42 and right at Reed Hartman. So in there, you've got some slow traffic. Also an accident on the AA highway there in Newport, right around Licking Pike. So if you're traveling there, there was an accident or a problem on 275 in Erlanger. That has cleared out of the way, so that's good news. Also an accident, Glendale Milford at 42 there, Reading Road. And then, let's see, still backed up on southbound 75. There was an earlier accident in the backup from the other accident that had the center lane blocked all morning long. Now, that was southbound 75 at Mitchell. Cleared out of the way. Everything is moving. Second accident around Ronald Reagan. So traffic is a little bit slower just through the Laughlin Split on down to Ronald Reagan. Looked like it was easing up at the cameras. Accident Muddy Creek in Glenway and West Sharon Road at Springfield. The rest of traffic pretty normal, pretty slow around the tri-state.
All right. The next hour after the top of the hour break at 8 o'clock, we're going to cover the presidential election, the debate coming up, and all of that. Until then, I have some more things that I want to cover. I want to cover some fan emails, which I think you're going to enjoy. This is incredible. I got an email from somebody that says, he goes, I guess some people tune into radio to snooze, but the amount of info and commentary you put out is so far above the competition, it's like comparing a professional to amateurs. How you like that?
Yeah.
Bulldog Nation member Sandy, I look forward to reading your newsletter, my lunchtime guilty pleasure, since I don't get to listen to your show. Bulldog Nation member Tony, if you could make a 30-second speech to the entire world, our question yesterday, what would you say? He said, wake up. Bulldog Nation member Catherine, her response to the 30-second speech. It is my opinion that the world can be changed for the better if everyone, man, woman, and child, would take time to think about what they have and be thankful to God. Two things need to be changed. We need to correct greed. We need to correct immorality. Catherine, you may be right. I may be crazy, but it just might be lunatic the world's looking for. I got an issue with our auditor, Hamilton County Auditor Dusty Rhodes. It involves a legal matter. And Dusty Rhodes claims to be Mr. Pure, Mr., honest, Mr. all those things. Well, Dusty, you've stepped in it. More to come. Yes, I've just baited you. What else do I have here? Audacity of hopelessness. This from the National Review. My godfather, Larry Grouse, sent it to me. Great stuff. Here it goes. As I say, Mitt could yet pull it off, but the confidence underpinning the Democratic convention that the bleak certainty of dependency without end has more appeal than the possibility of economic revival says nothing good about where America's headed. Bingo. What have I been preaching here? That it used to be that when unemployment was high, you threw out the guy in office. But this time it's different because, unlike before, we're just taking care of the guy without the job till death do we part with our money. It's incredible. So lots of good stuff that I wanted to share with you. Also, the Clinton PBS documentary that I watched last night. Got to share some of this with you. People forget that when he was elected president, he got 43% of the vote is all. Thank you, Ross Perot. And he focused on health care because there was no war. He had to have something big. So, health care. And, of course, it failed. I relearned that his appointing a special counsel on the Little Rock issue with the whole McDougal Rose law firm was the biggest mistake, he said, of his presidency, which it was. He didn't have to appoint a special counsel. I can tell you right now, you can say what you want about Barack Obama, but he's been smart not to appoint a special counsel on some of his scandals. Are you kidding me? Why would you appoint a special counsel to stick a microscope up your butt to find out you're a crook? What's going on in Afghanistan and Iraq certainly put in Bill Clinton's Somalia ordeal, Black Hawk Down. Remember we lost 18 soldiers and how mad we were? By the way, 18 soldiers was 18 too many, but compare that to Afghanistan and Iraq. Great portrait of Hillary. One of the reasons why he's so loyal to Hillary is Hillary saved his butt in the Jennifer Flowers issue right before the New Hampshire primary, and also had to forgive him again on Monica Lewinsky, so forth and so on. Very interesting, the power that Dick Morris had. It's kind of sad that they've had such a falling out because Dick Morris was his main man. He was the one that he called when there was lying going on about Monica Lewinsky. He didn't listen, by the way, to Dick Morris's advice. Dick Morris says, come clean, get this behind you, it'll be okay. Even did polling to show that it would have worked. And the president thought he could continue to try to lie his way out of it. And, of course, that didn't work. What else? Government shutdown. He played that card right. And, of course, Newt Gingrich. Remember my two favorite rules of negotiation? You get more of a kind word and a loaded gun than a kind word alone. And number 2, don't overplay your cards, Sarah Farmer. Guess what? He overplayed his card. Newt Gingrich did in the government shutdown issue. And it boomeranged on Newt Gingrich and the Republicans. I already had this renewed sense of that the whole special prosecutor, the whole Little Rock, McDougal, all of that stuff was like a waste of time and money. Ken Starr, so forth and so on. And I still believe that. It was all about just trying to get somebody. And you also realize that Monica Lewinsky, despite her indiscretions and fooling around with the president, they actually had her in a room once trying to get her to squeal, and she refused. It's Miss Trapp, the big, fat, ugly, mean, nasty, miserable human being that taped her conversations with Monica Lewinsky. And you guess what? She ended up getting prosecuted. Loved it. Loved it. She deserved it. But, then they got him in a trap about lying about the relationship, which I don't approve. He shouldn't have lied about it, under oath especially. But, boy, the Clintons, that whole 8 years, he was getting pummeled, I can't believe he's still alive with the stress he had. Scandal after scandal. And then, of course, being impeached and having to go through the impeachment process. Jeez. But he's a survivor. He's a survivor. Now, for your listening pleasure, we now have Sugar Sugar. I think this is the only cartoon band that made it to number 1. The Archies, Sugar Sugar, on Class X Radio. This is the Bulldog on Class X Radio. Before I go on another rant, give us a traffic report, please.
Well, right now, just still dealing with a couple of leftover problems. Eastbound 275 at Reed Hartman, still have that accident. You're backed up to Mosteller, and then the accident on the Double A Highway right around Licking Pike, Glendale Milford at Reading, and right around 75 there at Ronald Reagan. You're still slow on 75, off and on from 275 down past the Ronald Reagan merge. Accident on Muddy Creek at Glenway. So a few little problems there, still kind of dealing with the same ones.
All right, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, all eyes and all attention will be on Denver tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. There was going to be a debate, the first of 3 debates crammed in within a month of the presidential election between Barack Obama and Mitt Romney. There's also going to be a debate between Joe Biden and Paul Ryan in Danville, Kentucky, as established by tradition. That's where it's going to be. When Mitt Romney was getting ready to speak before the Republican National Convention, he was asked by Brett Baer of Fox News. I saw the interview. It was an outdoor interview. It was someplace nice. I think he might have been in New Hampshire or Iowa. He asked him, what would your father say to you? Would he be proud of you? Are you thinking about your dad? And he said, I think about my dad a lot. I also think about my mom, of course. And he told that beautiful story during the convention about how his dad would give his mom a rose every single day. I don't know if that moved you, but it moved me. I actually have been making sure my wife, she likes fresh flowers, always has fresh flowers. Now, I don't have to do it every day because they last a little while. But I'm doing that based on that moved me. I mean, a guy gives a rose every day to your wife, your entire marriage. That's pretty impressive. But did you remember what he said? You probably didn't. What he said, his father would tell him, is to be bold. Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, you've heard me say this many a time, long before you heard that interview. I quote Virgil. Okay? Virgil said, fortune favors the bold. In most things, it favors the bold. Now, I want you to know that there is a time and place to play cautious. If you are a NFL football team, college football team, and high school football team, and you're leading a game late in the game, you know that if you run the football conservatively, you can run out the clock. There's a time and place for that. But there's also a time to be bold. I mean, really bold. Okay? And the time to be bold for Mitt Romney is right now. Right now. Mitt Romney has so much ammunition. He's like an arsenal waiting to be used or captured by the enemy. The material he has is endless. Endless. The debt, the budget deficit, the unemployment numbers, gas prices, are you kidding me? And he needs to play it like he did in the debates in Florida when after losing South Carolina, he went down to Florida and he stuck Newt Gingrich with it. I'm hoping somebody is telling him that's what he has to do. I mean, he could, and Barack Obama gets mad. Barack Obama is used to yes people all around him. He's not used to somebody taking it to him. And he needs to have it taken to him, as Laura Ingraham says. As everybody with a lick of sense is saying. Take it to him, Mitt. Fire some cannons. Look at him and say, Mr. President, I'm getting sick and tired of watching these commercials that you're showing saying that I don't care about the middle class. Do you think your gas prices are helping the middle class, Mr. President? Do you think what you're doing in the Middle East is helping gas prices for the middle class? Do you think unemployment over 11% is helping the middle class? Do you think having a budget and a debt problem that you've created and not willing to solve is helping the middle class, Mr. President? Do you? Are you kidding me? There, I just did it. How hard was that? You don't need a teleprompter. You don't need debate preparation. You just got to take it to them. There isn't a single issue that he doesn't have ammunition in his gun to fire away at Barack Obama. Remember my quote from Al Capone, you get more for a kind word and a loaded gun than a kind word alone. Mitt Romney can smile, and he can be nice and look presidential and fire away relentlessly, like a Gatling gun, a machine gun. Bang, 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 bang. You don't have time for cover because the bullets keep flying. And you know what? Here is how you debate. Here's what happens. You get asked a question by the moderator or from Barack Obama about Romney care. Okay? I'm Mitt Romney. Governor Romney, you have been critical of Obamacare, blah, 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 Romney care, You know what you do? You ignore the damn question. You immediately launch into a barrage against Obama about Obamacare. You don't defend Romney care. You attack, you attack, you attack. Famous story in the Civil War, Battle of Shiloh. One of the few times old Grant got caught with his pants down. First day of the battle, Beauregard, leading the Confederates. Joe Johnston and Beauregard. Beauregard comes at him. Guess what? Grant, Sherman, they have to retreat. They got to leave their camp. They get caught in their camp. They go all the way to the river. They're backed up and trapped against the river, and night starts to fall. Rather than press the attack, Beauregard and his men stopped in the Union camp to eat. Let's feed on the Union's food. Let's sleep in their tents tonight. Let's get warm, and we'll attack tomorrow. Rather than pressing on and destroying Grant and Sherman and pushing them into the river and finishing off the Union Army in the West, the Confederates stopped. Later that night, Grant was alone, smoking a cigar, leaning up against a tree. By the way, you know what Shiloh means? Shiloh means place of peace. It wasn't on those 2 days. Grant's under the tree, smoking a cigar. Sherman comes up, irritated about the day's events, tells Grant, man, this has been a bad day, goes on and on. Grant takes a cigar out of his mouth, looks at Sherman and says, yep, lick him tomorrow, though. And the next day, the Union Army swept the Confederates off the field at Shiloh, and Grant kept his perfect record of winning. Grant never lost a single battle in the Civil War. Did you know that? All you Robert E. Lee lovers who watched him send Pickett's charge across Gettysburg to their certain death, did you know that? Probably not. Grant never lost a battle. Why? He stayed on the offense. Offense, offense, offense. Fort Donelon, victory. Vicksburg, victory. Shiloh, victory. Cold Harbor, lost a lot of men, victory. The Wilderness, victory. Petersburg, victory. Richmond, victory. Appomattox, victory. He never lost a battle. Alexander the Great conquered 52 countries, never lost a battle, and led his men from the front. Grant, bold. Alexander the Great, bold. Can Mitt Romney take off his skirt, set down his purse, grow a pair, and be bold tonight? I hope so. Now we'll go to traffic.
Wow. Okay. I wasn't ready for that.
You don't need to comment on my rants. Just give us traffic.
No, I'm not. I wasn't ready for you. That's all. Right now, taking a look around the tri-state, still have that accident eastbound 275. You've got that. They've cleared the accident on 75 at Ronald Reagan. They still are in the process of cleaning up at Muddy Creek there at Glenway, so watch for that. Traffic is a little bit lighter than normal for this time of day, so heading in on 71, 75. You're a little slow there still from Dixie on down to the bridge, but better than a normal morning. 471 just from around Memorial Parkway into downtown. And southbound on 71, you're still on and off your brakes there from 275 on down to the Ronald Reagan Merge. Just wasn't ready for you.
Fortune
Bulldog.
favors the bold, Garrett. And Bulldog Nation loves a good song.
Take risks. Is that what you're saying?
Calculated risk. They love a good song after a rain. This is So Nice to Be With You by Gallery on Class X Radio. This feel good. This will make you feel good. Eric Deters, the Bulldog on Class X Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, the presidential debate tonight is going to be live from the University of Denver from 9 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be broadcast on C-SPAN, ABC, CBS, Fox News, NBC, CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC. And, of course, tomorrow morning we'll focus on my analysis of it, which I guarantee you will be different than everybody else's. The Daily Caller has released a video about Barack Obama, and it is devastating. I mean devastating to his campaign. If you haven't seen 26, I got to put this in context before I report it. In 2016, the movie 2016, there is someone who knows Barack Obama very well, and I forget what his occupation is, but I think it might even be psychiatrist. He points out that Barack Obama learned politically that if he acted like the cool, calm black man, that he would gain advantage politically, that even white voters were attracted to a black man that didn't lose his cool. And when you think about it, look how Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson scare the hell out of everybody. So this guy points out that Barack Obama, on purpose, intentionally planned to project this image of, and you remember why I nicknamed him back in 2008 was Brother Cool. You know, everything happened, I'm Brother Cool. I'm just Mr. Cool. Okay? Now, when the Jeremiah Wright event came down last time, as 2016 points out, it was the most devastating thing to the campaign potentially because it shattered the idea that Barack Obama was not a angry, militant, socialist, communist, American-hating black guy. In this movie, they show how panicked he was, how he offered $150,000 to Wright to shut up, how he went to Jeremiah Wright's house to get him to shut up, how Jeremiah Wright, recently it was reported, said, you know, the problem with you, Reverend, is you just like to tell the truth. Now, get this. Has come out yesterday in the Daily Caller. In a video obtained exclusively by the Daily Caller, then presidential candidate Barack Obama tells an audience of black ministers, including the Reverend Jeremiah Wright, that the U.S. government shortchanged Hurricane Katrina victims because of racism. Quote, the people down in New Orleans, they don't care about as much. Obama shouts in the video, which was shot in June of 2007 at Hampton University in Virginia. By contrast, survivors of September 11th and Hurricane Andrew received generous amounts of aid, Obama explains. The reason? Unlike residents of majority black New Orleans, the federal government considers those victims, quote, part of the American family. The racially charged and at times angry speech, remember what I just said about 2016, undermines Obama's carefully crafted image as a leader eager to build bridges between ethnic groups. For nearly 40 minutes, using an accent he almost never adopts in public, hey, brothers, Obama describes a racist, zero-sum society in which the white majority profits by exploiting black America. The mostly black audience shouts in agreement. The effect is closer to an Al Sharpton rally than a conventional campaign event. He is a phony. As Bill Clinton says, not Bill Clinton, Clint Eastwood, the biggest hoax ever affected on the American people. And guess what? Michelle Obama, who came to town yesterday, is an angry black woman who was only proud, you know, it's only good if we win the election. That's like me saying, well, I'm only going to be proud of America if my guy wins or you vote for me. You know what? I lost my one political race for office, Kenton County Attorney. And you know what? The only way I was going to be proud of America is if you would have voted for me. Obama called him, this, on Jeremiah Wright, called him. This in 2007. My pastor, the guy who puts up with me, counsels me, listens to my wife complain about me. He's a friend and great leader, not just in Chicago, but all across the country. And when the Jeremiah Wright Hate America sermons appeared, Barack Obama acted like, man, I just went to church there. I sat in the back pew. I hardly knew the guy. I didn't really know who he was. A freaking phony is what we have as the president of the United States. And guess what the polls are showing? Married women, and I'm going to go ahead and make single women mad. I think married women have a better sense of things, of the economy and what's going on than single women. That might get me in trouble. You know what? I don't care because I believe it. I think they pay attention to what's going on more than the single women like Sandy Fluck, who all she's worried about is the government paying for her contraceptives. Married women are now turned against Barack Obama. Men We're 10 points up with Barack Obama. But women as a whole, Obama's got like a 20-point lead. Way to go, ladies. Ladies, 95% of African Americans and young people who they want to cater to. And who knows less about what the hell's going on in this country? Younger people or taxpayers 40 years old who are working or are married? You know the answer. My daughter doesn't have a clue. It's downright scary how he manipulates. He manipulates. He's a phony. And he panders. And we need you to wake up, ladies. We need you to wake up, black voters. Your economic situation has worsened under this president. Now we'll go to traffic.
Well, let's see. Northbound 71, 75, still looking at 15 minutes from Dixie to the bridge. Southbound 71 seems to be the heaviest spot, and you're still pretty heavy there from Fieldsville all the way down to the Kenwood Cut in the Hill. And 275, you're on and off your brakes there from around Loveland, Madeira on over to 71. Right around Montgomery, it does ease up just a little bit.
All right, I want to tell everybody that I just got a great text from a fan that says, that's why the president needs a teleprompter so his street side of him doesn't come out. Ha, 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 ha. I agree 100% with that comment. Incredible. We got 30 more minutes to beat up Barack Obama and tell Mitt Romney how to win this debate. And for your listening pleasure, we're going to go to another direction, all the way across the big blue ocean to London. This is The Clash, London Calling, considered one of the most important rock songs in history on Class X Radio. This is the Bulldog, Eric Deters on Class X Radio. I'm really excited about this. I am going to be at the Madison Theater on Friday, October the 19th, where I get to introduce Get the Lead Out, which is a premier Led Zeppelin tribute band, and I get to introduce the band. How cool is that? Folks, you're going to want to get tickets to this event. Just check out ClassXRadio.com. I'll give you some other places that you can get tickets. And, of course, don't forget that I've got a Led Zeppelin band playing at my Halloween party. Winds of Thor.
What day is that again?
October the 26th.
Can't wait for that.
I can't either.
Jake and I are going to roll in there, maybe a little.
Yeah, and Cameron with a pretty girl on his arm. This is cool. Sarah was a Bengal cheerleader. There's a Bengal that I think is going to come and be Cameron's date. How you like that? Take that, Gabby.
Her date?
Yeah, Cameron's going to.
Tell her to bring more Bengals.
Cameron's going to have a Bengal for a date. Take that.
Can she bring the whole Bengal team?
Oh, I'm sure she can. She's still friends with him.
Why don't you ask her to do that?
So how do you like that? How do you like that, Gabby?
Gabby.
Team Cameron is way ahead. Way ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, I speak the truth. On all these rants I've had today, they've been the truth. And this is something that I just want everybody to know because, I was over WLW for, 4 or 5 years, upstairs for a year. Now I'm here. I've never been sued for slander or libel. There's a reason, because I don't slander and libel. I got the facts straight. I got my opinions based on those facts, and I can back it up. Barack Obama is what he is. The Inquirer is a joke of a newspaper when it comes to integrity. For them to run that again is unbelievable. And we're talking this newspaper reporter at the suppression hearing. Even the prosecutor and I were talking, and she came up and asked us a question, and I had explained something. We were blown away. It was like, oh, my God, what the heck is she on? And, of course, I'm sure she'll cover the trial for them.
Did she physically look like bloodshot, or was it more like
physically looked it, spoke, acted?
Like you couldn't believe that she was asking that sort of a legal question?
I could not believe that she was there on behalf of the Inquirer. I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
Wow.
All right, when we come back from this, we'll have 30 more minutes of radio superbity on Class X Radio.
Class X.
This is the Bulldog on Class X Radio. Give us a traffic report.
Well, right now, looks like things are really clearing up, easing up out there. You're still slow on southbound 71 from Fieldsville down to around Kenwood, and on 71, 75 there in northern Kentucky from Dixie to the bridge. Other than that, things moving along pretty well. They did clear the accident at Reed Hartman and Reading, so that's looking a lot better there as well.
Ladies and gentlemen, the American Juror, I got some funny things to comment about. U.S. auto sales report in September. You guys are going to love this. Toyota, sales up 42%. Honda, up 31%. Chrysler, up 12%. General Motors, government-owned General Motors, up 1.5%. Way to go, U.S. government. You know how to run an auto company. And I want to get everybody's comment in the booth here about this. The Wall Street Journal reports that beer shipments in the U.S. jumped 1.9% in the first 8 months of this year. Previously, they had fallen for 3 straight years. I think this is a sign of the economic times and apocalypse that everybody's just going to get smashed-faced drunk on beer, alcohol, because the economy is so bad. Garrett, your opinion.
Stress reliever. Absolutely, I'm drinking more.
Garrett, your opinion.
I just like beer.
Jake.
You just like beer?
Yeah.
Denise?
I do like beer. I mean, it is a stress reliever, and it's a little bit less expensive than other alcohol.
Let me do some Tom T. Hall for you. Whiskey's too rough. Champagne costs too much. Vodka puts my mouth in gear. So I have to explain in this little refrain, I like beer.
I like that. We should
Tom
play
T.
the
Hall.
beer song.
There
We
you
There's
ought
go.
to
a
play
beer
a beer
song.
song. No, we have a special song in this segment for you. Ladies and
Yes,
gentlemen,
the
the
dog
American
is
Jury,
fired up.
on purpose, we're not going to play it yet. On purpose, I have not played a repeat song yet, and I still have lots of great original music. But for the special occasion for the Bulldog being extrally ranted up today, without steroids, without cocaine, without any drugs, I haven't even taken 200 milligrams of caffeine. It's pure political adrenaline.
199.
Okay, here's the deal. We're going to play our first song, and you're going to crack up of the reason why I'm playing it, but it's going to be our first repeat. Let's fly through some news about the presidential election because of the debate tonight. Biden says that the Republicans want to raise the taxes on the middle class. He goes, this is deadly earnest, man. This is deadly earnest. How can he justify raising taxes in the middle class that's been buried the last 4 years? How in the Lord's name? Well, Paul Ryan says, Vice President Biden just today in the middle class for the last 4 years has been buried. We agree. That means we need to stop digging by electing Mitt Romney, the next president of the United States. What a jackwagon. Biden says that the middle class has been buried in taxes and his guy's president.
You jackwagon?
Today's a very important day in American history. Vice President Biden finally got something right. That was John Sununu, former governor of New Hampshire, the whale himself. Paul Ryan at the American Spectator's 2011 Robert L. Bartley Gala Dinner. 70% Americans want the American dream. They believe in the American idea. Only 30% want the welfare state. I don't know, Paul Ryan. I think it's 47%. Maybe too long we could become a society where the net majority of Americans are takers, not makers. That's true. National Journal Congressional Connection poll, Romney and Obama are tied. NBC News Wall Street Journal poll, Obama 49%, Romney 46%. Romney suggests a tax break figure for the ABC News. Romney has suggested a uniform tax deduction for most Americans that could be $17,000. He said to fill that deduction, you could use your charitable deduction, your home mortgage deduction, or others. By the way, I've got hopefully a gut feeling about what Romney's been doing, and I hope I am right. I am hoping that Mitt Romney's entire campaign strategy up to this point is to play it cool, to play it safe in the home stretch before he starts because of the debates. In other words, when you really think about it, whatever the polls are right now, what's going to matter is what happens between now and Election Day. So he's within striking distance. He's done nothing to knock himself out of the race. He's recovered from the 47% comment. And maybe tonight he unleashes hell. I did see for the first time in a week a Romney commercial on television, and it was great. Romney looking into the camera and saying, you know what? Higher gas prices, high unemployment, da-da-da-da-da, isn't good for the middle class. I have a plan, da-da-da-da-da-da. It was a great commercial. So let's hope this is all part of a master plan that somebody came up with, that Romney was going to play nice until these debates, and now during the debates, he's going to come out throwing haymakers. The people, this is according to Huffington Post, the people who have received the special visa the president has put in place, which is a 2-year visa, should expect that visa would continue to be valid. You know what? For election purposes, let's leave immigration alone. There's too many economic issues that we got to win and can win on. Ann Romney talking about the softer side. By the way, did you see Ann Romney's outfit on Leno? Whoa. I think Ann
Smoking?
Romney's an attractive woman. She wore what looked like a black leather outfit, short skirt, tall boots. I mean, I was like, whoa, Ann Romney. Michelle Obama on the debate. I get so nervous at these debates. I'm like one of those parents watching their kids on the balance beam. No, you're not, Michelle Obama. You're there. Yeah, there you go. What do you think? I mean, it's not.
Those aren't boots.
Well, look at the shoes though.
She's very classy looking.
Those are some high heels.
Attractive. She's attractive.
It's classy.
Yes.
It's classy, but yet also sexy. I think
it is absolutely.
Michelle Obama's telling Barack how to debate. Dick Cheney on Hannity Radio, he said the Obama administration is involved in a cover-up over the Libya attack. Oh, really? Thank you. Polls bias for Obama, according to Republicans. 7 in 10 believe polls are intentionally skewed to Obama's favor. How you like that? We agree. Doctors would vote for election. Now get this. Obamacare, right? You know what?
Oh, the doctors hate
By
that.
the way, I admire doctors. If a doctor commits medical malpractice, so be it. But let me tell you something. I admire doctors. They're smart. They keep us safe. They keep us alive. 55% to 36% to Romney. That's what they think of Romney's health care plan. Jeez,
I can't believe it's even that close.
When we come back, more political news. And ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, because I'm revved up and because I'm going to be introducing Get the Lead Out on October 19th, because Winds of Thor is playing my Halloween party, because I love this song. This is my favorite pure rock song of all time. Nobody has vocals that can do this. Page, Plant, Zeppelin. Let's keep raising hell and save America on Class X Radio. This is the Bulldog on Class X Radio. Give us our final traffic report for the morning, Denise Johnson. You're doing a wonderful job today.
Am I okay? Well, right now things are really easing up all around the
I don't care
tri-state.
what Garrett and Jake say when you leave the room. You're doing
We
a great
think
job.
you've done a horrible job.
Well, that's why I never leave the room. Because
Wait a minute,
all
I
of
take
those
that back.
elephants out on the roadway.
You did throw a shooting in. Go ahead.
Sorry about the shooting. Anyway, southbound 71, you're still slow there. And that's pretty much from Fields Earl on down to the Ronald Reagan merge. But that's the heaviest traffic I'm seeing right now. You're going to have work crews out, so watch for lane closures. They're actually doing bridge inspections on 471 both directions. So you'll have some lane closures this week and next week between 9 and 3 in the afternoon. So it'll clear out before rush hour. But other than that, things are looking a lot better.
Thank you. By the way, do you know the NFL football owners are way, way, way more supporting Mitt Romney than Barack? By the way, how does any businessman of any nature not vote for Romney over Obama? How does any worker whose business where he works is dependent on less taxes and less regulation vote for Romney? Unless you are a screaming liberal, there's no basis to vote for Barack Obama. Get this. Foreign aid, CBS News reports, from 2008 to 2011, Obama increased foreign aid spending by 80%. In fiscal 2011, the government spent 76% more on foreign aid than it did securing U.S. borders. One of the issues that I take, like we go over to Iraq and Iran and spend all this money fighting them, I've always said this: invest in protecting our ports, our borders, and our airports. Can you imagine if we took all the soldiers in Iraq and Afghanistan and put them in our ports, our airports, and our borders? How safe would we be? And how much easier it is to pay for all those men because they're stateside. Mm-hmm. They're stateside. They're not overseas. They're going to be happier. Their families will be close by. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful idea. Maybe Mitt Romney will say it tonight. I don't know. 25 dead in a university attack in Nigeria on Tuesday. Very sad to report. This year, violent criminals waging a war against tougher police strategies have murdered, get this, in Brazil, where we've lent money for oil, 70 police officers. Murdered 70 police officers. That is incredible. The Wall Street Journal reports that the election is getting closer, which is, to be expected. Country compared when Obama took office. Worse off 40%, better off 37%, same place 23%. Country on the wrong track, right track, headed in the right direction. Looks like they're almost even. View of the campaigns. Have a message knew they would do if elected. Romney and Ryan, 52%. Biden and Obama, 65%. Issues where Obama leads. Dealing with health care, 49-40. Handling the situation in the Middle East, 32-48. Are you kidding me? Oh, my God. Where Romney leads, dealing with the economy, 47-45. Or excuse me, 42-45. Dealing with economic challenges from China, 45-47. The budget deficit, 45-34. Do you know we're going to have another economic downgrade, which is not going to be good? All right, ladies and gentlemen, the American jury, we have had a lot of serious stuff today, but now let's have a little bit more fun. Let's do a self-analysis of the show today. We'll start with you, Garrett. I thought the show, well, you tell me what your opinion of the show today was.
One error that I saw.
Only one error, so it wasn't a perfect show, as Tracy Jones said?
It was not a perfect show, but it was close. It was close. Still give it an A-. You've played a song in the past that we played again today that wasn't the one that you thought.
Really?
We played the Immigrant Song before.
What was
Can
the
you
song?
guess it? In
Okay,
the first hour.
Hold on a second.
In the first hour, we have played this song. Now, he didn't have it in his system, but I, being the super producer that I am, found it that day that you wanted
Me and you
it.
and a dog named Boo?
No.
Anyone
that
Wants
was
Me?
new. Nope.
I Think I Love You?
Yep.
The Partridge Family?
We
played
the
twice.
Partridge. Because I think like a couple weeks ago it was like an anniversary of something.
Ladies and gentlemen
it.
of Bulldog Nation, I want to apologize that I played a David Cassidy Partridge Family song twice.
The
He had a
1, 2, 3.
reason.
We forgive you.
He had a
You've
reason.
been forgiven by
Hey,
Bulldog Nation.
Tomorrow, folks, I've already made up the list of bands that we're going to listen to. Are you ready for this, folks? For the first time on Class X Radio Bulldog Nation show, you're going to hear
Snoop Dogg.
Asia.
No?
You're going to hear Yes.
How about that?
You're going to hear Rush. You're going to hear Ozzy.
It's called a tease.
How do you like
teasing?
How do you like that?
Do they all have
Teasing.
to
I
do
like
with
it.
the political views?
No.
Anything? No, I'm just wondering.
They're just
where you were
good
coming out.
songs.
I get it. He picks his own music, which is awesome.
I
just
pick
wondering-
music that makes people feel good instead of lousy, how sometimes they feel when they get a bad traffic report.
Gets people going.
Well, you know what? Anybody stuck in the traffic is going to have a problem with that. But you know what? Sometimes you pick your music based on your mood, which
You're
is
like
cool.
a dentist. You know dentists have a high rate of suicide. I bet you traffic reporters do too, because everything that you report just puts people in a bad mood.
Well, you know what? I try not to, but I'm just
Do you
telling
go
them
home
what's out
depressed?
there.
Do you go home depressed from doing the show?
Why would I go home depressed after listening to you?
That's a good point.
I know.
Like
Jake,
a
what is your
mailman.
opinion of the show today?
I
Yesterday's
think it was
show and
good.
today's show, I think, was Radio Superbity.
They both were very good. Yeah,
All right.
The rants today were exceptional.
And what is the official Cole, Cameron, and Jake position on the NHL lockout again for those that have missed it?
Very sad.
All right.
Very sad.
Hey, take note there, folks. When you draft a press release, keep it simple. All right, now what's your opinion of the show today, Miss Traffic Reporter?
Miss Traffic Report. You know what? You keep everybody hopping. You can keep an audience, and that's what I've said to you before.
Sucking up to the host will
I'm
always
not.
keep your job
no,
secure.
I'm not,
Yes,
and that
yeah.
was
Keep it
part
going.
of it.
More,
Nice work.
more.
I'll give you more
More.
because you really threw me off. I'm sitting here listening to you go on and on and on, and you're like, okay, let's go to traffic. I'm like, oh my God, I wasn't ready. You can keep everybody's attention, and I do think it's impressive that you pick your own music, and all I was doing was asking. All in all, I thought you got a A+ there.
You've
today.
secured your job
Thank you.
for at least 10
Man,
more days.
Yeah, you got at
Okay,
least
did
10
I?
more days on the radio.
Cool. At least the rest of the week.
This is George Harrison. Every dog has their day. I hope today and tomorrow is yours. I love you, America. Watch the debate tonight. 50 million people will decide to vote for Mitt Romney. I love America, and you can't spell America without Eric in it. On Class X Radio.